Welcome everyone to today's Explainer. So, if you are a corporate leader, an executive, or just someone who regularly steps into high-stakes presentations, you are in exactly the right place. I want you to visualize something with me. Imagine stepping into a boardroom for a massive pitch. But instead of an executive, I want you to picture yourself as a captain boarding a ship. Your stakeholders, your team, the board of directors, they are your passengers. And just like passengers on a ship, their entire experience relies completely on how their leader shows up to take the helm.
Okay, let's dive into this. Picture a tale of two very different leaders. Imagine you're settling in for a voyage, and a nervous captain gets on the loudspeaker and stammers, so let's just have a great trip. Sorry. You'd feel this instant visceral dread, right? Like you'd want off that boat immediately. A stuttering, unsure leader loses the room before the journey even starts. But now contrast that with a commanding presence, saying, I'll be your captain for this journey, let's have a great trip. It completely changes the vibe. The absolutely crucial point here is that your stakeholders, just like those passengers, really just want to feel secure. They want to know the person in charge is capable, prepared, and ready to guide them safely. When you're the speaker, you are the captain for that journey.
Section 1. Steering the ship. Mastering your physical presence.
So, how do we manufacture this external confidence? Well, first, you have to realize that audiences literally cannot read your mind. They have no idea if your heart is pounding or if your palms are sweating. Because they can only see the outside, you have to project stability no matter how anxious you feel inside. And our first technique for this is super straightforward. It's the rule of 5. When you step up to present, you need to turn up your energy and speak up, aiming for a solid level 5 out of 10. You don't need to shout. You definitely don't need to crank it to an 11 to command the room. A level 5 is perfectly calibrated to make you sound positive, prepared, and authoritative. A nervous speaker usually drops to like a 3, kind of shrinking back. But by consciously bringing your volume and energy to a 5, you instantly read as totally confident to everyone in that room.
Technique number 2 is to pause, like a boss. Nervous speakers tend to talk incredibly fast, just rushing to get the whole thing over with. And when they finally do take a breath, they fill that dead air with verbal fillers, the ums, the uhs, the likes. Now, you might think the fix is just speaking slower. Actually, scratch that. Trying to consciously talk in slow motion usually just sounds unnatural. The real solution? Replace those fillers with strategic pauses. Pause during your transitions. Pause for emphasis right after dropping a big data point. Holding a moment of silence doesn't mean you forgot your lines. It shows absolute, total control. It shows you are the boss of the room.
Okay, technique number 3 is adopting this superhero stance. Imagine how a superhero stance. Chest out, shoulders back, completely grounded. You can literally do this right now, even if you're sitting at your desk. Taking on this posture instantly creates confident-looking body language. It naturally prompts you to make better eye contact, and it usually brings a natural, relaxed smile to your face. It's a super quick, highly effective physical shortcut. Sure, you can strike this pose backstage to boost your own internal confidence, but more importantly, you've got to bring that superhero stance onto the stage so your audience sees a confident leader.
Technique number 4 is all about confidence shapes. Let's break down this posture idea a little bit more. You want to consciously make confident physical choices. Think about making the shape of a good host welcoming guests into their home. If you open your front door with crossed arms and a scowl, well, your guests are going to think it's a really bad time. You have to open up your posture, smile, and create a welcoming environment, like, hi, welcome, come on in. Now, to make sure your confident captain persona actually looks authentic and not totally stiff, I strongly advise you to video yourself. I know, nobody likes watching themselves on video, but wouldn't you rather make those critical little adjustments in the privacy of your own office before you're up in front of a live audience? For sure.
Section 2. The Captain's Drill. The Daily Practice Schedule.
All right, we've talked about the physical techniques, but now we need to look at the prep required for these high-stakes corporate pitches. Let me be clear, executives absolutely cannot simply wing it on performance day. Think about it. If you were playing a piano concert on Friday, you wouldn't just stare at the sheet music all week and then touch the keys for the very first time in front of a huge crowd, right? No way. Public speaking is a performance, and it requires strategic rehearsal. Practicing with purpose means you don't just run through the whole thing aimlessly. You layer in one new confident technique each day to build undeniable muscle memory. Day 1, you just stand up and read it aloud. Day 2, you focus entirely on hitting that level 5 energy. Day 3, you weave in those boss-level pauses. By day 4, you're locking in that superhero stance. And then by day 5, you're doing a full dress rehearsal with your slides. Layering the techniques like this prevents you from getting overwhelmed and ensures that by the time you step into the boardroom, these physical choices are basically second nature.
Now I hear you. You're a busy leader. What if you literally do not have time for 5 days of full run-throughs? Well, here's your bulletproof backup plan. Take just your opening and your closing, which are the most critical parts of any presentation anyway, and run them 3 times in a row out loud. And you can do this anywhere. Do it in the shower, do it while walking the dog, do it while making dinner. Getting those out loud repetitions in everyday situations is vastly superior to just staring at a script silently at your desk. Your mouth and your vocal cords need the actual physical practice.
Section 3. The Inner Compass. Crafting your silent sentence.
Up until now, we've been talking about faking external confidence to put your audience at ease, but our fifth and final core technique is internal. This is where we move from manufacturing external confidence to anchoring yourself internally. This is how you effectively override that massive performance anxiety so many of us face when the stakes are highest. Enter the silent sentence. When anxiety spikes, our brains just flood with unhelpful instructions like, "Don't mess up," or "You better be perfect." The silent sentence is an unspoken script you write for yourself that acts as a mental override switch. It replaces that impossible self-centered pressure to be perfect with a higher audience-focused goal. When you anchor yourself to a deeper purpose, you completely short-circuit the panic.
Here is a brilliant template directly from our source material. This is a tested, highly effective silent sentence. I invite you to be here with me while I am here with you so that I can make this easier for you. Think about how powerful that framing is. The first half is the demand for you to be fully present, which, by the way, is the very definition of stage presence. The second half completely reframes your corporate audience. They aren't foes waiting for you to fail. They're your partners. You are there to make their lives easier. That simple shift in mindset changes absolutely everything about how you deliver your message.
So what is your deeper purpose for this specific meeting or pitch? Fill in the blank to find your own silent sentence. Do you want to solve a pressing problem for your team? Do you want to spark action on a new initiative? Or maybe you simply want to safely guide them through a really difficult quarter's financials. When you identify exactly what you want to accomplish for them, you create a strong, well-worn pathway in your brain that can override that deeply ingrained pathway of perfectionism and fear. Let's move to carry and see how this builds into your daily practice drill. Because you don't just think of your silent sentence once and cross your fingers hoping it works on the big day, you actually write it into your script and practice it. You say the silent bit internally to yourself and then immediately say your out loud introduction vocally. Silent bit, out loud bit, silent, out loud. You repeat this pattern during those shower rehearsals and dog walks until the two are completely inextricably linked. It becomes a reliable, automatic reflex that kicks in the exact moment you take the stage.
Section 4. Safe Harbor. Making your audience safe.
We are bringing our nautical metaphor to its final destination here. Look, implementing these layered physical techniques, the level 5 energy, the boss pauses, the superhero stance, alongside practicing your silent sentence, it's gonna feel a little uncomfortable at first. It will feel unnatural simply because it's new. But reaching outside your comfort zone to practice these techniques isn't just about making yourself look good or patting your own ego. It is the ultimate gift that you give to your corporate stakeholders. When you make the choices of a confident captain, your audience feels safe. They can relax, trust the direction you're taking them, and actually absorb the information you are sharing. You owe them that clarity and that security.
Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. Think ahead to your calendar. In your next high-stakes presentation, what silent sentence will you choose to safely guide your crew? Take the time today to figure out your deeper purpose, craft that internal script, and start practicing your captain's drill. You absolutely have the tools to take the helm. Have a great trip.